Okay, so welcome everyone this evening to the How to Shift Your Habits workshop. My name is Jay. I will be your host this evening, and I anticipate this workshop to go for about 2 hours, give or take. Okay, so change slide. There you go. So this evening we are going to do a quick introduction. We're going to discuss why you're here, what are habits, how are habits installed, becoming aware of our habits, how to upgrade our habits, and then a little bit on decisions, because making the decision to change the habits is key in this process. Okay, there will also be time for a Q&A, so please leave your questions to the end. And then I have a special offer for you that is running until the end of this month. So let's get started. So welcome. I'm so glad that you decided to spend your time this evening with me live. If you are watching this on the recording, then again, I thank you for deciding to spend this time with me and learning about how to shift your habits, because shifting your habits is going to unlock your potential and it's going to give you so much more control in your life. So why are we here? Kind of what I just said. So we are here to learn how to shift our habits, and our habits control so much of our behavior and we do them automatically. So being able to shift them and shift them properly and consistently is a really good skill to learn. And that is the information that I want to pass over to you this evening. So who am I? My name is Jay. I live in Devon, down in the southwest of England. I have a couple of degrees. My first, which you'll see in the picture down in the bottom right, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it's the one with me wearing sunglasses eating my lunch. That was taken in Gallagher in Spain during my earth sciences degree. From my earth sciences, I then went into landfill, doing environmental awareness and monitoring and that sort of thing to make sure the landfills don't pollute. I did a little bit of a stint in the Army Reserve in the UK, following on from my time as an Army cadet, and shooting was always my favourite thing, but shooting of paper targets, wooden things, not real things. I don't like shooting real things. Clay pigeon is my extent for moving targets. After I had my little girl, I moved over to teaching. So this was during my teacher training, sharing my love of geology with a group of year fours. And yeah, some more pictures of me. So I'm married. This is my husband, Carl, in the top left in the red jumper. We have our beautiful little girl, who is sitting on my shoulders up there. On the top right, I don't share her name because that's entirely up to her when her name gets shared on the internet. We are very outdoorsy. We live by the sea, so we love being out on the water or walking or exploring, all that kind of thing. And when the weather's not great, then I like to sew. I make my own clothes, mostly, not this one. I like to make clothes for my little one, and also little toys and that sort of thing. So just checking on the Facebook group, phone number stuff. Register for the call. Sorry, just a friend who is trying to get into our call this evening. Okay, so that's me. Why am I qualified to talk about this? So basically everything I'm sharing this evening, I have experimented with myself. I have been working as a mindset and habits coach for a little bit under a year now. Through my teaching work as well, I do help others with mindset and habits. And it's why did I become a coach? So I became a coach to help people reach the realizations that I've managed to reach. So this information got me out of quite a dark spot about 2.5 years ago now. And it just opened my eyes to the potential that we all have. We just don't know it because we get in our own way. So my idea behind these workshops and these challenges that I run, as well as my coaching courses that I run, is to help people reach the same realization that I have and unlock their potential and become the success that they want to be. So let's get started. So just imagine if you could shift your habits so that they were completely productive and reach the life that you want, you would be happy, you would be healthy, and you would be wealthy. Because the only thing standing between you and all the happiness, healthiness, and wealthiness that you want is your habits. So you are the only thing standing in your own way. And that's what I want to change for you. So a habit is an idea that has been planted in the garden of your subconscious mind and then repetitively fed for a sufficient period of time that you act on it without giving any thought to it. So habits are completely automatic. Think about which foot you put in your shoes first. It's a habit. It's always the same one. Think about how difficult it is to brush your teeth with the wrong hand. It's a habit. Okay, I've been brushing my teeth for 35 years with my right hand. I should know how to do it. But yet if I try and do it with my left, no. Even though it's exactly the same, just holding the toothbrush in a different hand, I just physically can't do it because my habit is that I brush my teeth with my right hand. Okay, so I have a quick little video that I would like to share with you this evening. If the Zoom will give me the toolbar back. Oh no! Where's it gone? Okay, I'll have to do it this way. So this is a video that is widely available on YouTube. It is Bob Proctor talking about habits and paradigms. It lasts 7.5 minutes, so I will mute myself. I will also make sure that it is set up so that the sound plays for you guys. Share the sound, there we go. And if anyone cannot hear it, please let me know in the chat as soon as possible. I will see you on the other side.
Hello there and welcome. It's Bob Proctor here. I'm going to take you back in time and space by using this flip chart here. I know we've got all kinds of technical razzle-dazzle today, but I want to communicate this idea to you. First, let me ask you a couple of questions. Have you ever wondered why you look like your relatives? Have you ever wondered why you have many of the habits or idiosyncrasies that mom and dad or grandma has? These are good questions. Have you ever wondered why you keep getting the same results over and over and over again? Have you ever asked yourself why individuals who have phenomenal education, they have degrees coming off the end of the business card, are not doing very well, while others who maybe never saw the inside of a school, earning millions of dollars and building giant organizations and doing all kinds of good all over the world? Have you ever asked yourself these questions? I did. In fact, I have spent the past 55 years asking nothing but those questions. And you know something? Seeking you'll find is good advice. If you're looking for it, you're going to find it. I'm going to explain why all these things happen. I'm going to explain paradigms in such a way that a child could understand it, but I'm not going to insult your intelligence. Now let's think for a moment. Our mind controls everything. Dr. J.B. Ryan said the mind is the greatest power in all of creation. Now I have had people say to me, wait a minute, God is the greatest power. Wait a minute, God is the greatest power. The mind is the greatest power in all of creation. God being the creator, mind is the creation. Now let this here represent your subconscious mind. And this represent your body. Do you know your subconscious mind is programmed with something called a paradigm? Do you know what a paradigm is? Paradigm is a multitude of habits. Now, a habit is nothing but an idea that is fixed here in the subconscious mind that you act on without any conscious thought. And it's our actions that produce our results. If we want to get really technical, it's the action causes a reaction. And the action-reaction alters the conditions, circumstance, and environment in our life. Now, we are programmed genetically. That's why we look like our relatives. But then after birth, we're programmed with our outside world. If you were born, let's say, in New Jersey, to an English-speaking Roman Catholic family, but you were taken to China and placed in the suburbs in a home that maybe knows nothing about English. They might be Buddhist. They might not have any religion. Do you know that you would grow up fluent in Chinese and have absolutely no knowledge of the English language? You see, whatever goes in from the outside world when we're children becomes programming. We're programmed genetically, and then we're programmed environmentally. Well, at a certain age, a psychic barrier comes up here, and we develop something that's called a conscious mind. And the conscious mind has hooked up to its sensory factors. You can see here, smell, taste, touch. And here we have higher faculties. We have something called intellectual factors. We have perception, intuition, the will, reason, imagination, all these marvelous tools here. Now, there's a power flows into our conscious mind, and we have the ability to think anything we want to think. Do you know what we're going to think? We're going to think thoughts that are in harmony with the paradigm. Because play with this. The paradigm controls the vibration that your body is in. And make no mistake about it, your body is in a vibration. Vibration is the law of the universe. The law of vibration decrees everything moves, nothing rests. This physical instrument we're living in is in a very high speed of vibration. If you looked at it through a microscope, you'd see it dancing right before your eyes. In fact, if you put your body in a completely dark room in front of an infrared television camera, you'd see yourself as a glistening, radiating, gleaming form. Semyon Kurlin, way back 1934, the Russian photographer, he perfected a form of photography where you can photograph mass, the body, and you will see the ray of energy coming from the body. See, there's a power flows into you, and it flows to and through you. And when it comes in, it has no form. Now, you can build negative ideas, or you can build positive ideas. We build ideas that are in harmony with the paradigm. Do you know why? If the paradigm is built with X-type energy, you're going to think X-type thoughts. If you have been raised with a paradigm where lack and limitation is common, it's just the way it is, you'll never become wealthy. If that is the thinking, oh, I know intellectually we know we can become wealthy, but the paradigm says no. You will probably take this power that flows into your conscious mind, that you could make anything out of it you want, and you'll make ideas that are in harmony with the paradigm, because it's the ideas that you impress upon the subconscious that controls the vibration. And if you start to impress why ideas, you're going to move into a very uncomfortable vibration. What would be a why idea? A why idea would be quit your job, sell your house, take the money, and invest it in a business so you can be your own boss. That's a why idea. That'll scare the daylights out of most people. Why? Because it's not in harmony with the paradigm. Now, your paradigm is controlling your results. You can have people that have all kinds of degrees here. Intellectually, they're brilliant, but the results don't match. You'll find other people, no formal education, no business experience, their results, they're earning millions of dollars. Why? It's the paradigm. Now, what you want to do is learn how to change the paradigm, and we've got a program. It's a 13-month program, and it's directed at that, changing the paradigm. And when you change the paradigm, you change your entire life. Think about that for a while. I know what I'm talking about. I've been studying this for 55 years. I've taught this to psychiatrists, psychologists, behavioral scientists all over the world. In fact, I've taught it in over 100 different countries. And it works like magic every time. You know why? The whole universe operates by law, and so do we. This is Bob Proctor, and thank you.
Okay, anyone want to share their thoughts on that wonderful piece of information, which I absolutely love? Get the camera. There we go. Any thoughts? No, that's cool. If you do have anything that you want to say at any point, please either stick it in the chat or raise your hand and we will come to you. So back to our habits. So as Bob said, we have our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, and our body. Our habits are in our subconscious mind, which means they're completely automatic. We have very little control over them, but we can choose to do something else using our conscious mind. Okay, so our habits were originally installed during our little life. So the area that you grew up in, the family, the parents that you had, your school, your friends, everything like that has a massive impact on the habits that you have. Because when we're children, like Bob said, our subconscious is just wide open. And it just means that every single thing that goes on around us, we take on as if it's true. Because the subconscious can't delineate between real and imagined, or true or false. It accepts everything. So when we're little, we accept everything that goes around us. So we accept all of the habits of our parents, of our friends, as we're growing up, also our families. So we pick up the cultural habits. And then we get a bit older and we get our conscious faculties, but we still take on the habits of other people around us because we want to fit in. Humans are social creatures. Even introverted people are social. We just have different needs from our social groups. So you're always installing habits. But as you get older, you get the choice of whether you make it a habit or not, because you can choose to reject it. And that's what our conscious mind is all about. Okay, so can we just stop doing our bad habits when we notice them? Quite simply, no, we cannot. Nature abhors a vacuum is a very lovely quote that I love repeating it and I love hearing it. Nature abhors a vacuum. And it basically means that if you stop doing something, there's a gap. So there's a vacuum. So you then need to replace that with something else. Because if you don't replace it, your paradigm will replace it for you. Okay, so the challenge that we did this week, I did a 5-day challenge leading up to this, and the start of the challenge, and what I want to mention this evening as well, is that the first step to being able to change your habit is becoming aware of them, because you can't change something you don't know. So if you're not aware of a habit that you do, how can you change it? It's done completely automatically. So if you've got no idea that you're doing it, you can't change it. So step one in any kind of habit shifting is that you need to become aware of what you're doing. Okay. And during the challenge, I shared a way of becoming aware. And I shared this at the beginning of my mindset challenge last month as well. And it basically involves belly breathing, which is you breathe in through your belly for 2/3 of a breath, and then breathe in through your chest for the last third. Most of us at the moment, when we take a deep breath, we lift our shoulders, we feel our chest. This takes all the power out of our breathing. Okay, so you fill your stomach first, belly breathing, and then you fill your chest. And your shoulders stay down. And then you breathe out. You try to make the out breath longer than the in. And if you're feeling overly anxious or worried about something, then it can help to breathe out like you're breathing out through a straw, like you're blowing bubbles in a drink. Okay, take a good 2 or 3 of those breaths. And if you do them right, the first few times you do them, you're going to feel a bit dizzy because we're just not used to taking that deeper breath. And what it does is it floods your parasympathetic nervous system and it overloads it. And it allows you to then suddenly just be where you are. The next step, once you are breathing and you're settled, is that you literally spot 5 things that you can see. No judgment, just 5 things that you can see. So I can see a map. I can see a picture of a submarine. I can see a bed. I can see a chair. I can see my laptop. There's no judgment attached to any of it. It is just, I can see this. From there, you then go on to 5 things that you can hear. and again, no judgment, and 5 things that you can then smell or touch. Okay, entirely up to you how many of your senses that you use for that. That brings you aware with where you are in the moment. And the more you practice being aware of where you are right now, the more observant you can become of your habits. So once you start noticing your habits, and it can be something as really small as noticing which foot you put in your trouser leg or your skirt first, or which shoe do you put on first, okay? It can be as simple as that for the first few times that you do it. And then it allows you to start being aware of your habits. Once you are aware of what you're doing and aware of your habits, you'll start noticing that you'll get a niggly little voice in the back of your head. So it could be that you are scrolling social media when you should be doing something else. You should be writing a blog post. You should be doing the washing up. You should be doing your work at work. And you'll get that little voice going, shouldn't you be doing something else? And you go, that's a habit, because you're scrolling when you should be doing something else. So it allows you to become aware of the habits that you're doing. And the way that I showed in the challenge to then show the power of your paradigm, your subconscious mind, is to try and do a few of your habits the opposite way around. So if you notice that you always put your left shoe on first, the next time you put your shoes on, put your right shoe on instead. It's great fun. It really is. Try and brush your teeth with the wrong hand. Try and write with the other hand. You'll see how strong your paradigm is. And it's that we've got to overcome when we want to change our habits. Okay? So that is not meant to scare you. It is just meant as a way of becoming aware of the force that you are going to have to fight against. But you can, and you will win. Okay? You just have to have a big enough why. So one way that I use within my planetuding journal, so I made the planetuding approach. These journals printed are available on my website and on my Etsy shop, Odds and Sprogs, or the electronic version. I am more than happy to send to you for free, or you can download it straight from my website. The website is rethinkyourperspective.com/planetuding. So it looks like that. I'm not sure if that's backwards on there, but it's PLANETUDING. Not sure on that. Just drop me a message after this call and I will send you the direct link. But this is one of the pages within the journal, and it allows you to list your old unproductive habit. So it could be scrolling, or eating too many biscuits, or not exercising, or whatever it is, the habits that you want to change. And then it gives you space to write your new habit. So the next step of shifting a habit is, once you become aware of the habit you want to change, you need to decide on the habit that you want to do instead. And that comes from deciding what it is that you want. So I'll use weight loss as an example, because weight loss is a big topic around humans. We all want to lose that bit of weight. But we regularly don't. And it's because it's a habit. Okay, so you decide that you want to lose weight, and you notice that one of your habits is that you like to eat biscuits or cakes, or your diet's just not that great. So your new productive habit could be that you're not going to eat the whole biscuit pack. Okay, so your new habit to support that decision could be that instead of taking the whole biscuit barrel to the sofa in the evening, you go to the biscuit barrel and you take one, and you go back to the sofa. You'll be then quite surprised how I can't really be bothered that it becomes that you don't go and get another biscuit. Whereas if their packet is right next to you, you'll eat the lot. So example, this evening, I fancied some Milky Bar buttons. So I got a few out of the packet and I've brought them upstairs. I've left the packet downstairs. So in the next 2 hours, I can only eat the amount that I brought, because I'm here on the webinar with you. And I do the same when I'm downstairs watching TV of an evening, or working, or whatever. I get myself a portion, and I very, very rarely, I still do, sometimes just eat that amount. Okay, so I don't diet. I don't like diets. It's too restricting. I like to eat what I want to eat when I want to eat it. So what I do is I portion control. And I know if I'm really in the mood for a certain food, I will change the way that I've eaten during the day. Okay, so that's one example. It could be that you want to do more exercise. You want to be a fitter, healthier person. So you decide that instead of sleeping in until 9 o'clock, you are going to get up at 7 o'clock. You want to get up early. You want to do a workout. You want to get going, have some fun in the day. Okay, start the day with doing a yoga, which is what I changed my habits to at the beginning of the year. I wanted to get up and do a morning yoga session and a meditation before my study and then whatever else I'm getting on with that day. So it could be that your habit that you change is that you go to bed earlier the night before, or that you set your alarm earlier for the next morning. Okay, so it's all examples of the habit that you have now, thinking about what you want to do, who you want to be, the kind of person that you want to be, and then creating a new habit to replace the old one. You can't just stop the old one, you have to have a new one to replace it. Okay, and another page within the Planetuding Journal is this one, where it really clearly lays it out. So your old habit, getting up late. New habit, going to bed earlier and getting up earlier. When I notice I am still up at 10:30 or 11 o'clock, I will go to bed instead. Okay, or it could be that when I notice I am scrolling through my phone on social media, not really doing anything, I will do a 10-minute task instead. So a 10-minute task is something that you go off and do that lasts 10 minutes and 10 minutes only. So it could be a quick washing up, or read a couple of pages of a book, or add a little bit to a drawing that you're doing, or play a little bit of a game. Something that will only last 10 minutes. Okay? That then reboots you to then go and do your new habit instead. So it stops the procrastination, puts you back into doing the habit. Okay, so this video is one of my all-time favorites, and it's done by Sandy Gallagher, who was Bob Proctor's business partner and obviously the other half of the Proctor Gallagher Institute. And she is going to share with us something called the terror barrier. Because when you start changing these habits and you start making the decision that you want to do, be, or have something else, your paradigm, when it realizes you're trying to make a change, is going to go, whoa, no, we're happy here. We don't need to change. We don't need that. What are you doing, you crazy person? Okay, it's going to throw up all of these objections, and it's called a terror barrier. And you will literally slam into it. And most of us then slip back to our old habits where it's nice and it's safe and our body is happy and not in conflict with itself. So I want to share this video from Sandy that was done at a live event a few years ago called The Matrix, that they used to do with the Proctor Gallagher Institute. It's a live 3 to 5 day event. I'm not sure if they're doing them one this year, but I'll let you know if they do. And it's just a really, really nice way of understanding what happens when you suddenly start trying to change things. Okay, and it's called the terror barrier. So just give me 1 second and I will get the video up and running for you. And I will see you on the other side.
So we've got someone in bondage and they're entertaining a why idea. I am going to sell everything. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to move across the country and start a new business. So, love, is that what you're going to do? All right. Now, here's the question. Is this just in your conscious mind, or do you have it firmly in your subconscious mind? Let's see, do you feel a little sick to your stomach at times? Do you feel like a little nervous, like... Okay, you haven't taken action. So this is the start of the terror barrier. This is where you're impressing it, but you're not fully over there ready to jump, okay? We call this the reasoning. Now, you're ahead of this person right here in the diagram. You're ahead. You've already started to get emotionally involved, but this person's just, maybe I'll do something. I'm reasoning through, what are the pros and cons? What do I give up? What do I get? You know, that's what's going on here. And so it's getting X-type results. But now we're going to the terror barrier. So you got the Y idea, and you're taking it from your conscious mind, and you're impressing it on your subconscious mind. What's going to happen? Because look at this. Look at the diagram carefully. You've got the Y idea in your conscious mind. You've got it in your subconscious mind, but you have the X conditioning. And the body has the XY conditioning. So what happens? You come up, it's time to jump. It's time to take action. And worry and fear and doubt hit, and boom, you bounce against the wall and you go right back to bondage. How many can relate to that? How many can think of a situation right now? And it's so easy when you're thinking about it. Oh, this is what I want for my life. But then the terror barrier, and you don't even know what's going on, and you're back to bondage. How do we get out of that? How do we get out of that? It's faith-based in understanding. We understand that this is what's going on. We understand that we're programmed. We understand the power of the paradigm, and we understand what the key to freedom is. Look at it here again. We're at the phase of understanding. You've got the Y idea. You're impressing it on the subconscious mind. You keep impressing it, impressing it, impressing it. You're going to take action. You know what's coming with that red line. So you prepare yourself. You gear up. You understand. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. So you're right there. It's time. Whatever it is, it's Bob, and I'm in the seminar room, 683 people, and Bob says, we do have a deal, don't we? And there's that terror barrier. What are you going to do? You know what's coming. You keep getting impressed with the idea, emotionally involved with it, and boom, you go right through. I want you to draw this out. This is the fourth frame. You've got the Y idea in your conscious mind. You've impressed it on your subconscious mind. You plowed through the terror barrier. This is freedom. But are you comfortable? Think about it. Look at the diagram. You've got X and Y type conditioning in your subconscious mind. So are you comfortable? You're not comfortable at all. You're still really uncomfortable, but you keep impressing the idea until finally you're at freedom. Now I want you to look back. We're going to go back a couple frames, and I want you to look at this again and really, really get it down. Okay, here we have someone. Let's just take the example of me, and I'm CEO of 19 companies running a full-time law practice. So I took over as CEO in January of 2009. It's May of 2009, and Bob comes to me and he goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What do you mean, what am I doing?" "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm fine. I can do it all. I can do it. I don't need to sleep. Sleep's overrated. I can do this." And he's like, "Are you in or are you out?" And he meant it. And I thought, okay, now's the time. I need to write that letter, and I need to move on from my law practice. So I'm going past the place of entertaining a Y idea. And I really want you to get the difference between entertaining a Y idea and being ready to plow through the terror barrier. Because I was in that high rise in Seattle, and I was thinking, oh, wouldn't that be cool to teach with Bob and to work with Bob and be in his inner circle and create this program. But I felt comfortable because I hadn't made a decision. I hadn't become emotionally involved with it. And that's happening for a lot of people right now. You can reason through it. You can say, this is going to be great. And you can come up with a formula. If I do this, and I do this, and I do this, then I can also do this. But you got to be careful, because that's not necessarily the case. You've got to get so involved with this idea and impress it on your subconscious mind over and over, and understand that the terror barrier is coming. And you know when it's working because you're impressing the idea and you start to feel, ugh. Like your central nervous system, it's more powerful than any computer. And you'll feel sick. In fact, I want to congratulate someone who signed up as a consultant today, but he said he almost threw up before. That's what's going to happen. It is so uncomfortable. And you think, well, if I'm feeling sick, there must be something wrong with what I'm doing. But that is how powerful the paradigm is. And then when everybody in your life that is in harmony with the X-type conditioning is telling you, you're crazy, why are you wasting your time? What about that 401k? What about that profit sharing? And so on. It's going to keep you from plowing through. But if you plow through and you understand that the terror barrier is coming and it's scary, and the natural reaction if you don't understand is just to dive back to safety, but you understand you got to face this terror barrier, and you and only you can go through this terror barrier. So you keep impressing the idea. You see yourself with this goal that you have already manifested. You see yourself. You are feeling it. You're engaging in conversation that you'd only have after it's manifested. You're talking to people about how wonderful your life is now. And it's so real in your mind that when you come up to that terror barrier and you see that cave, and it's dark and it's scary and you don't know what is on the other side, you know the key to freedom. And I want you to really blaze this, write this down in as much detail as you need to, so that when you have that moment, and you'll have many of them, where you're facing the terror barrier, you are going to plow through it. You keep impressing the idea, and when the time is right, you plow through it. So Bob, he had come to me and he said, okay, you're in or you're out. So I wrote a letter to 2,000 of my colleagues, family, and friends, why I'm leaving my law practice, why I'm going into this new career, and you know, all the things I was going to do with this new career. And I had it all queued up on my email, and I'm ready to hit send, and that terror barrier hit so bad I froze. But faith-based in understanding. I knew the cave I feared to enter held the treasure I seek. So I picked up the phone and I called Bob. Never call Bob if you don't want to do what you don't want to do. And I called him and he said, hit send, jump, you'll develop wings along the way, hit send. And I went, boom, and I hit send, and it's like, you know that email sound, it goes out. I'm like, oh my God. And I go to the outbox, and I'm like, please, please, oh, I hope it's hung up. I was going to delete it so fast. And it was gone. 2,000 people. I didn't sleep that night. 24 hours. Within 24 hours, I had 892 emails. I was afraid to look at them. Every single one said, wow, I wish I had that kind of passion in my life. Wow, I wish I had that kind of courage. And then there were 3 people who said, I would love to do something like that, but I'm going to sit here till the day I die. And they meant it. They meant it. See, they kept hitting the terror barrier and bouncing back. Worry, fear, anxiety. Don't understand why? You go back to the comfort zone, back to safety. The most dangerous place you can be is the comfort zone. We got to just plow through that, and then we keep impressing the why idea over and over. And then what happens? The X disappears, and now you've got Y conditioning. And then you go and you become partners with Bob, and you have to change your Y to the Z and your Z to, every day. That's what we have to do. Yeah, question.
How do you know that anxiety isn't because of a bad idea?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. How do you know that the anxiety isn't because it's a message telling you back off, that's the wrong idea? This is where you need to really tap into your intuition and know what is right for you. And pretty much you can be guaranteed that if you are really emotionally involved with this idea and you love it until it gets to the point when you've got to jump off, or you've got to, walk up to a prospect and shake their hand and make a presentation in front of the board, you can be pretty sure that's the paradigm. That's the terror barrier that's holding you back. Any other questions on that? This is such an important lesson. I want you to take a couple minutes and talk about it at your table. Talk about how you see the terror barrier playing out in your life and what you're going to do to plow through the terror barrier. Question over here? Faith-based and understanding. This is when you're right there up against the terror barrier and you're feeling all hell break loose inside of you. And yet you have to keep moving forward. Why are you going to move forward when you're feeling that way and your rational mind's telling you, oh, this is a bad thing for you. This is bad. Stay away. Stay away. Faith-based and understanding. You know what's going on. So you have faith that you can go through that terror barrier and you will have everything you need once you get to that other side. You have all the strength you need, all the knowledge you need, all the ability you need to do what you want to do. That's that moment where you could freeze or you could say, I am going on faith. But it's not blind faith. It's faith-based and understanding of what's going on and what's ahead of you and the key to your freedom. And yes?
Can you say just a little bit more about how you continue to impress the idea and keep emotionally involved with it?
Yes, and that's exactly what we're going to get into next after we talk about the terror barrier. Because there were moments through my journey, the first 2 years in particular, where I swear my body didn't stop shaking. After the moment I nodded yes to Bob in that seminar room for, gosh, I swear it was almost 2 years. It was like this, my central nervous system was going crazy. So how do you keep going through that? Strong affirmation and visioneering. And we're going to go through that next. And it's the most powerful, impactful lesson that I have ever learned. So we really want to get that. But first, I want you to really grasp the terror and the power and the hold it has on you to stop you from moving forward. Okay, so just take a couple minutes and talk.
How did you find that? I absolutely love that video because it just reminds us that it is our paradigm that is trying to stop us. No one else. There's no excuses. It's all the paradigm. And what she was talking about there was mainly like big decisions, when you make a huge decision like quitting your job and going into something else. But it does also relate when you are doing habits or when you're changing habits, because you still hit that terror barrier when you try and make a change. And it could be that you feel absolutely terrified, or it could be that you don't feel scared, but you find any excuse not to do it. Okay, so for example, if you want to start a new exercise routine and you get up the next morning or in a couple of days later, because you can usually do the first couple of days without it really making much effect. It'll make effect on you, you'll feel great, but doesn't have too much effect on your paradigm until a couple of days later, like with new exercise regimes. But then you'll suddenly start deciding that, oh, it's a bit cold. I don't really want to go out in the cold, or I don't really want to go out in the rain, or yeah, not today, I'm just not feeling it, or oh, I can't find my headphones. You'll make excuses. And those excuses is effectively the terror barrier. It is your mind, your subconscious mind, trying to trip you up. So like I said, terror barrier is a big thing, but it can also operate as a small thing. And what she said with affirmations and visioneering. So the visioneering is where you're seeing yourself as the person having the thing that you want. So if it's weight loss, you're holding the image in your head of the body that you want. If it's getting up earlier in the morning, it's holding the image in your mind of you up watching the sunrise. Okay? And then visioneering and affirmations is, I am someone who gets up at 6 o'clock. I am someone who has a body weight of whatever it is that you want to have. Okay, so it's already as she said, it's behaving now like the person that you will be when you've achieved it. So it's having conversations and having thoughts from the place where you will be. Okay, so next bit of our presentation today is going to be based on this amazing book. So Atomic Habits by James Clear, basically the Bible of habit shifting. 100%. I love that book. It has really helped me, and it's so relatable as well. So everything that we're going to have a look through now, all the techniques and things, I have taken from Atomic Habits. And when I send out this recording, or when it goes onto YouTube, in the links below, I will give you a link for the actual Atomic Habits website, and also to join the newsletter, which is completely free, because you get an email a week on a Thursday, and it just really helps. They're such in-depth, really amazing worksheet newsletters with lots of ideas, lots of thoughts, lots of hints and tips. And then obviously the book, well, I think everybody should have it, but obviously it's entirely up to you what format you get it in, or if you get it at all. It's your life. It's my recommendation, but it's your choice. Okay, so within Atomic Habits, James Clear writes that there are 4 stages to conducting a habit. Okay, so having a think about a specific habit in your life, what is the cue or the trigger that starts you doing it? So if you are a serial cake eater or coffee drinker, for example, it could be that your cue is seeing a piece of cake or walking past a specific shop, smelling a specific smell, seeing a coffee cup, or even just getting up in the morning could be your cue for having a coffee. When that cue is triggered, your body starts craving the thing that is there. Okay, so it starts craving the cake, or it's craving the coffee. Okay, you then respond by eating the cake or drinking the coffee, and you get the reward. So not only do you get like the flavor of the thing that you've eaten or drunk, but you also get the chemical hit from your mind. So the dopamine, serotonin, all of the happy chemicals, because you have fulfilled a habit. You have succumbed to a craving, and you have done the thing that your body was asking you to do. Okay, now this 4-step process is really key to shifting your habit, because you need to work out what the cue is for your current bad habit that you want to change. Okay, because when you notice the cue of the thing that you want to change, you can start getting your body to crave the new habit instead of the old. Okay, so if you are trying to stop eating chocolate cake, for example, you see a piece of chocolate cake, your body's going to want the piece of chocolate cake because that's what you eat, that's what you do. So you need to change that craving for something else. Okay, so it could be that you have something else that you like, or that you start to learn to like doing exercise, or that you learn to like a healthier option. And then your response to the cue is that you go and do that healthier option, and then you get the reward. But the reward bit, you really need to focus on, because if you're trying to change a habit, you need to make sure that the new habit is just as rewarding as the one you're replacing. So you need to find something that is just as rewarding as the chocolate cake. Now, with something like chocolate cake, the reward is going to be the body of your dreams, basically. So you need to be focused on the body that you want, and you get the reward from being proud of yourself that you didn't eat the cake. Okay, now weight loss is a tricky one because you don't see the results very quickly. So it's quite a long process between doing the new habit and actually getting the results. Whereas if you eat the cake, you get the instant result, you get the instant gratification. So it's really about being quite tough on yourself and setting up mini rewards in between. So, for example, if you walk past a Starbucks every single morning and every single morning you go in and get a coffee, and that's a habit you want to change, you could set the reward that if you don't have the coffee every single morning for what, 5 days or so, on day 6 you can have the coffee. And also you are saving the money, which you could be saving up for something, so that could be your reward, or you are feeling a little bit healthier in yourself because it raises my thumb, because you haven't had your daily dose of coffee. Okay, so habits, when you are setting them up, need to be obvious, convenient, easy, and rewarding. So obvious, the cue needs to be obvious. So at the moment you see a Starbucks, you want a coffee. You need to change it so that you see a Starbucks, you want something else. Okay, it could be that you change it so that when you get up in the morning, if you want to start doing a exercise routine in the morning, you want to start doing morning yoga, you make it obvious by rolling out the yoga mat the night before. Okay, so you roll the yoga mat out before you go to bed. And if you've been following my blog for a little while, or if you want to go check it out, you'll see on there where I speak about habits, where I've got a picture of my yoga mat rolled out next to my bed. And that's what I did when I started doing daily yoga at the beginning of the year. Okay, because it was the only way that would make it so obvious that that's what I was doing. And that also plays into convenience as well, because I literally had to roll out of bed and the mat's already there ready to go. So if you are trying to start a new exercise regime, for example, before you go to bed the night before, set out the things that you're going to use for your exercise regime. So set out your trainers, set out your headphones, set out your jacket, your clothes that you're going to wear, your water bottle, so that when you get up in the morning, it's there, it's convenient. You literally have to put it on. You don't have to go chasing around the house for that pesky left shoe, or where are my headphones? Okay, it's there, it's ready to go. This also ties into easy. It's easy to choose that habit because it's obvious and it's conveniently set up. And then the reward, like I said before, needs to be something that is rewarding for you. Okay, so it could be that if you exercise for 3 days, that you get a treat of some sort. Now that treat will differ for everybody. Some people will want a food-based treat. Some people will want to buy something for themselves. Somebody might want to set a treat of watching a film or going out for dinner, or it's whatever motivates you. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, it's what motivates you. Okay, that's why those diets with the cheat days work so well. Okay, I follow The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, on Insta and a few other of his channels, and it always amazes me what he eats on his cheat day. But he's said quite a few times, and a lot of other people have said, that if you've got a cheat day where you can literally eat anything that you want, you can stick to the healthy eating for the rest of the week. Try it. You never know, it might work for you. Okay, so it needs to be your new habit when you set it up, when you decide on what it is based on the goal that you're going for. Your new habit needs to be as obvious, as convenient, as easy, and as rewarding as physically possible. And it's all those 4 things relevant to you, not what someone else thinks, not what would be rewarding to someone else, what it is for you. Okay, focusing on the benefits that you will gain from forming the new habit always provides the motivation that's necessary. So you need to have a why, and a really big why. Okay, so my why for doing yoga in the morning is because I noticed on days when because I was doing it very hit and miss before, but on days when I did yoga first thing in the morning, I just felt better all day. There was just something about it, because I'd loosened up and stretched in the morning. I just felt better about the whole day as I went along. which was awesome. Okay, so within Atomic Habits, the way that he sets it out, so these are pictures, it's like screenshots that I've taken from the workbook that you can download, that all the links are given to you when you purchase Atomic Habits. You are deciding first on the type of person you want to be. So it could be, I'm the type of person who does yoga every morning. I'm the type of person who fits into size 10 or size 12 clothes. I am the type of person who finishes all the work that I start. Okay, whatever your desired identity is. And then you focus on the habit. Okay, so the habit you'll be focusing on is whatever it may be. Getting up earlier so I've got time to do yoga before work could be your one. Or it's whatever habit that reinforces your desired identity. Okay, so if it is getting up early and exercising, then the habit you'll be focusing on is getting up earlier, which could also relate to going to bed earlier. If you are the type of person who wants to be more productive and finish their work, the habit that you'll be focusing on is using a get done list and being stricter with yourself on getting it done. Okay, so once you've decided on the identity of the person that you want to be and the habit that you're going to focus on, you can then use, I've got 3 different activities that you can try out that are all from Atomic Habits. So this first one is an implementation habit. So it's based on a behavior, a time, and a location. So you say, I will go for a run at 6 o'clock in the morning in my local area. Or I will have green tea or a loose tea instead of a coffee at 10 o'clock in the office. Okay, it's setting, it's pre-deciding when you're going to do your habit. So this one really works well for exercise. So when I was training for the Army Reserve, it used to be, I didn't know about this approach, but when I look back, I was using it. So it was, I will go for my run after work on the Ridgeway, which is where I was living at the time. And it helped me to really get fit, basically, because I set the habit that instead of getting back from work at the time and then doing whatever else, I got into the habit of doing the exercise first and then doing the habits or the other things I wanted to do after. Okay, so that's an implementation habit. It's an I will do the behavior that I want to do at this time. So it's the same time every day in my local area or wherever it is. So I will do yoga at 6 a.m. or 5:30 was my time. So I will do yoga at 5:30 in my lounge or in my bedroom. Okay, it all depended on where hubby was sleeping or if he was home, because I didn't want to get in his way. And it is always a bit awkward doing yoga when there's someone else in the room, I find. But that's just me. Another example is temptation habits. So I will only do the habit that I want to do when I have done the habit I need to do. So this one works well when you are procrastinating, putting something off, or you prioritize the non-thing that you're supposed to be doing above the thing that you're supposed to be doing. So I will only watch an episode of Netflix when I have been for a run. And there's a really lovely story in the book where he says about this young man who really wanted to get fit, but really enjoyed watching Netflix. So he actually built an indoor bike, so like a turbo trainer bike, one of the indoor trainer bikes that powered his TV. So the TV would only work if he was pedaling at a certain speed. How genius is that? So I will only watch TV when I'm cycling, because I can't watch TV unless I'm cycling because the TV don't work. That is taking it to the extreme. Obviously, I'm not expecting you guys to go down that kind of level, but it could be fun. You never know. Okay, so that's a temptation habit. You will only do the thing that you want to do. So I will only eat the chocolate cake when I have kept to whatever version, however many calories it is that you want to eat that day. Okay, just check in. Thank you. Comment in the chat. That's brilliant. Okay, it's a brilliant idea. I was fascinated when I read it. Okay, so these are temptation habits. The next one I want to share is habit tracking. I do this within my diary. So I have a paper diary because I find it easier to use. But it's like a checklist, and humans love a good checklist. That's why Duolingo is so popular, okay? Because it tracks how many days in a row you do it, and it takes away your streak if you skip a day, okay? And habit tracking is the same. So you can use it as simple as this. You can use it where you tick off on a calendar. You can set up any basic kind of grid that works for you. The one I put in the planetuding journal towards the front, okay, is literally just a page of squares. And the idea is that you tick off every single day that you do habit. Now, as you're going along, the more things you tick off, the harder it is to break your streak. Because you're like, wow, look at all this progress that I'm making. Look, I've managed to do a whole 10 days of my new habit. Oh, I don't really feel like doing it this morning. But I'm not going to miss a day because I've got 10 days in a row and I want this to be day 11. I'm going for 100 days in a row. Okay, you set yourself a challenge of hitting the number that you want to hit. And that really, really, really works. I don't know why it works. I think it's just a human thing. But it really works when you have got evidence of you doing the habit every single day for a week, say, or even for 3 days. Suddenly it becomes very hard to not do it. Okay, so habit tracking, really, really, really helpful. Okay, so as I said before, this is some pages out of the planetuding journal, which is all based on the stuff from Atomic Habits. So it's setting up your goal, which is the thing that you want the most, the thing that you're going for right now, which will then tell you what your habits are. Okay, because if you are going for a goal of getting really fit, then you need to start doing some exercise. So your habits will need to shift in order to get fit. Same with if you're losing weight. Your habits are going to have to shift to allow you to lose the weight. Because if you were already doing the things that you need to do to reach that goal, you would have reached it already. So if you're not where you want to be, then your habits need to change. And that is the idea behind the planetuding journal. So you set your goal, you set the habit that you're working on, and then every single day you fill in gratefulness. So 3 things that you are grateful for. You get your get done list written. So everything that you want to get done, and then your priority list. And the idea behind a get done list is basically you decide on 5 or 6 things that you definitely want to get done tomorrow. Then you prioritize them. So the biggest thing that you need to get done first, and then the second, third, fourth. And then when you get up in the morning, you focus on number 1. The others don't exist. They're written down, so you can't forget them. So there's no worries there. But you focus on number 1 until number 1 is finished. And then you move on to number 2. And once you move on to number 2, you forget about number 1 and you forget about 3, 4, 5, 6. You're only focusing on the thing that you are doing in any specific moment. Okay, so that is the get done list that's also included in this. And you also get a bookmark that is removable. So you cut it out, that you can then mark your page. And the bookmark, the picture's in the way, there you go, is your why. So it'll say it's something that you can look at every single day. Why are you doing the things that you're doing? Why are you putting yourself through the discomfort that you're going through to shift your habits? Okay. when I first started learning about all of this stuff, I'll share with you a little bit. Yeah, I'll share it. I was in quite a low place. My habits were that I would come home from work, I would make dinner, have shower, and then sit in front of the TV vegging out. Usually with something to do, so like doing some crochet or drawing or looking at something on the laptop. Nothing really productive. Well, the crochet was productive. I made quite a few hats and other various little toys and things like that. But when I then came across this material, the shift that I wanted to make was that I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be earning big money. And I've always had this dream house. You might have seen it on my website or across some of my social media. It's called the Lake House. And it's set next to a lake in its own grounds, surrounded by trees at the foot of a mountain. And as part of this lake house, there is a wellness retreat. So there's 3 little houses, like 3 little self-contained buildings where people can come to escape the world. There's an on-site masseuse and therapist, Reiki and all that kind of thing. There's an on-site fitness suite with a dedicated fitness person who runs their own business from there. There's a sauna, there's a steam room, there's the jacuzzi, there's a swimming pool. It's bliss. I love it. I am in the process of creating the floor plans for it, so that I can go and explain it to an architect and get them to actually draw out some proper plans. Because as you go through the planning stages, it becomes more real. It goes from a, oh, I really want that, to a, I'm getting that. And you work from the end. So the big habits that I needed to change were my procrastination. I was also very capable of lying in each morning until gone 10 o'clock, if my small child would allow it. And it used to be that like she'd get up and I'd stay in bed on the weekend because I was just so tired from the day job. I had no energy and I just wanted to sleep. So the first big thing that I wanted to change when I started learning all of this and learning about the benefits of doing daily yoga and daily meditation and daily study to improve myself was that I actually needed some time in the day to do it. And the best time of the day to do it is first thing in the morning when it's quiet. So I had to make the huge habit shift of snoozing until 9 o'clock to getting up at first it was 5:45 or 10 to 6, sometimes 6, to be on a call at 6 o'clock with some fellow people going through the training that I was going through. And then I made it earlier so that I had time to do my yoga beforehand. And nowadays I am naturally awake at 5:19, 1 minute before my alarm goes off. So I could stop setting my alarm, to be honest, but I know that there are some days where you just haven't slept well or you have gone to bed a bit later than you want. So I will leave the alarm set just to cover. But most times I'm awake beforehand anyway. But I had to make that change. And I will tell you, no word of a lie, it was so uncomfortable getting up at the crack of dawn. It really was. And it used to be that I'd jump on the 6 o'clock call and I'd actually fall back to sleep. Or I would sit and do a meditation, and instead of meditating, I would fall asleep. Or I would get on the yoga mat and I wouldn't do anything. I'd just lie there and fall back to sleep. And it took a little while of going to bed earlier as well. I always struggled with going to sleep at night. So I would go to bed and it would be a good half hour, 45 minutes before I could fall asleep. Nowadays, 3 or 4 minutes. I sometimes listen to the Headspace app, the Sleepcast stories. I honestly can't tell you the last time I actually got as far as the breathing exercise or the visualization exercise before I was asleep. So it's kind of pointless putting them on now because that's about 2 minutes in. So, but it means I'm sleeping and I'm out like a light. I sleep all night and I'm up ready to go first thing in the morning. And the compromise that I've made with myself, because I still don't really like getting up at that time, is when I'm on the yoga mat, my eyes are shut and I do it in really low light. So I'm still snoozing, but I'm still moving And then as soon as I've done my yoga, I have a glass of warm water. And then I'm ready to go. Let's go. I'm there. That's me. But that was a huge shift that I had to make. And it didn't happen overnight. It took months because of the habit that I was used to at the time. And given a choice, my paradigm would still make me sleep in or allow me to sleep in way longer into the mornings. And I still do struggle on the weekends because I haven't got that 6 o'clock call to go to. But I'm getting there and I'm really happy with where I am with it. And it's all through following this kind of material. Okay, so it really does work. I've seen it work for so many people. It works for me. It will work for you as well. You just have to have the determination and you have to make the decision that you're going to do it. Okay, and that leads us into this lovely little video, which is 15 minutes long from Bob on decisions. And it's one habit that will change your life. And that habit is making decisions. Okay, so I'm going to flick the camera off. I'm going to flick my mic off in a minute. And I will catch you on the other side. If it gives me the thing back. There we go.
Hello there and welcome. I'm Bob Proctor. I want to talk to you about forming a habit that'll literally change your world. I formed this habit a long time ago, and I'm going to tell you, my world changed like night and day. Work for me, it'll work for you. But before we get into it, I want you to come back in history with me to September the 12th, 1962.
For the eyes of the world now look into space, to the moon, and to the planets beyond. Our leadership in science and industry, our hopes for peace and security, our obligations to ourselves as well as others, all require us to make this effort, to solve these mysteries, to solve them for the good of all men. There is no strife, no prejudice, no national conflict in outer space as yet. Its hazards are hostile to us all. Its conquest deserves the best of all mankind. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
Do you know what John Kennedy did there? Made a decision. That was a decision. It was a big decision, and it changed everything forever. Well, do you know, decision is something most people never really learn, and for good reason. Stay with me, because I'm going to show you something here that you possibly have never looked at before. This book changed everything for me. In this book, it's Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. There's 15 chapters. There's one chapter, the entire chapter is dedicated to decision. Now, you may say, well, I make decisions. Do you really? You may make little ones, but you make the real important ones. Do you go after what you want in life? Do you get everything you want in life? See, the truth is, only about 3% of the people are really living the way they want to live, driving the car they want to drive, taking the trips they want to take, living in the houses they want to live in. Most people do not, and they'll tell you why they can't, and they'll give you a string of reasons a mile long. All seem very practical, very reasonable, and the leader of them all is they can't afford it. Well, the truth is, we live in the richest country in the history of the world. Money is the easiest thing in the world to earn once you learn how. Well, if you turn making a decision into a habit, you're going to learn how to do a whole lot of things you may think you can't do. See, what we're doing is we're exploring a side of our personality that we really don't understand. Now, I photographed a page out of here. Napoleon Hill said, those who reach decisions promptly and definitely know what they want, and they generally get it. The leaders in every walk of life decide quickly and firmly That's the major reason why they're leaders. He said the world is a habit of making room for the man or woman whose words and actions show they know where they're going. And he went on to explain why we have difficulty here, for very good reason. Indecision is a habit, which usually begins in youth. The habit takes on permanency as the youth goes through grade school, high school, and eventually through college without any definite purpose. The major weakness of all educational systems is they neither teach nor encourage the habit of definite decision. Now, why is that? Well, the truth is, most people really don't know. We're dealing with a side of our personality that most people do not understand. What you see here is not me. This is my body. You never hear anyone say, am hand. You see, we've got to take a look at the non-physical side of ourselves. President Lincoln put that very well. He said, to believe in the things you can see and touch is no belief at all. But to believe in the unseen is a triumph and a blessing. Well, let's look at this. Making a decision, we're going into the unseen part of ourselves, using faculties most people don't even know they've got. You see, Einstein said the intuitive mind is a sacred gift. Well, he said the rational mind is a faithful servant. He said we have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. What is a servant? Well, there it is there. It's our sensory factors. We can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. What are they for? They're to help us correspond and communicate with our outside world. But you know that the physical world is nothing but the manifestation of the non-physical world. That's right. Here we've got something that's nothing short of a miracle when we look at it properly. This is a little cell phone. It has more power than the computer had that took the first rocket to the moon. Think of that. And I'm carrying it around in my pocket. I can touch a button and bang, like that, send a picture to you, and you'll get it simultaneous with me sending it. How does all that happen? Well, it happens because we're dealing with the non-physical side of ourselves. We're dealing with just pure power. How do we get at that? Well, we've been gifted. We've been gifted with something no other form of animal life has. We have these higher faculties. You've got perception, memory, imagination, will, reason, intuition. I want you to shift your perception for a moment of yourself. You know, our good friend, the late Wayne Dyer, he put it very well. He said, when you change the way you look at something, what you look at will change. Change your perception. Do you know the reason most people don't make decisions? Because they can't see how they're going to get there. So what do? They keep doing things that they can see how they're going to get there. And that's why their life never really changes. Stick with me here for a moment. Think of you. You are a mass of energy and you function on frequencies. That's what you are. Take a look at yourself. Here's a shot taken by Kirlian photography. Semyon Kirlian was a Russian who perfected a form of photography way back in the early 30s that'll photograph mass where you can photograph the energy leaving the body. There's a glow of energy around you. This physical thing we live in is a mass of energy. Well, we're going to be talking about the non-physical side. You see, a frequency is a level of vibration. Do you know vibration is a natural law of the universe? Everything vibrates, nothing rests. We live in an ocean of motion. Now, there's an infinite number of frequencies. Now, get this. Let all these lines represent levels of vibration, okay? Levels of vibration, as we said, are referred to as frequencies. You and I think on frequencies, the highest function we're capable of. Now, here's where you really want to pay attention. This, if you get this, if I communicate this effectively, your life can change, because it sure changed mine. We think on a frequency, and the frequency we think on dictates the results we get. So we're sitting here and they say, these are my results, but this is where I really want to go, and we point to a star. Somebody said, what do you really want? I really want to be free. Do you know that most people never live the way they really want to live? They don't. They never earn the amount of money they can. They don't live in the house they really want to live in. They don't take the vacations they really want to take. Why? Because they don't know how. You see, when they set those targets, they look off into a space and they see nothing. Now look here for a moment. These lines represent levels of frequency, or you could say levels of awareness. But when we set the target way up there, it's all gone. We don't know how to get there. Think of that. Think of what Steve Jobs says. You cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots are going to connect as you go ahead. Now that's pretty big. If you're going to look at the unseen, you have to use the higher faculties. That's what Einstein talked about, the sacred gift. We can use faculties to look into the future. We can go into the future with our imagination and see ourselves where we want to be a year from now, and then bring that into the present and begin acting like the person we want to become. So let's go back and look at this again. We'll say, that's where I want to go, and I'm going to get there. Now, we do make decisions, but then we say, not going to start yet. I'm going to do that as soon as I get the money. I talked to a young couple. In fact, I wrote about them in a book, Pat and John. I sat with them in a hotel in Toronto, and they said they wanted to buy a house. And I said, well, go on out and buy one. We said, we can't buy a house. We haven't got any money. I said, you don't need any money. They looked at me rather strange. I said, what do you need the money for? You haven't made the decision to buy the house. You see, you don't need the money until after you make the decision. Person say, I want to take a trip, and I'm going to go as soon as I get the money. You don't need the money to make the decision to take the trip. I'm going to start my own business as soon as everything's right. Things are never going to be right. You've got to make a decision. Now, you see, when you make the decision, everything starts to change. Look at this for a moment. You're thinking down here on this frequency, and that's what's giving you the results you're getting. If you want to go where you say you want to go, you've got to get on that frequency. You see, the truth is, you're not thinking about getting there. You're letting the present results repeat, and that's the star you're shooting at. You're going to get the same results over and over and over again as long as you keep your thinking there. You've got to get your thinking up on this higher frequency. Because when you get on that frequency, the thoughts and things that are going to come into your mind will take you there. How do you think we got to the moon? Kennedy didn't know how to get to the moon. When he asked Dr. Wernher von Braun, who's considered the father of the space program, what will it take for us to build a rocket, carry a man to the moon, and bring him back safely to Earth? He said, the will to do it. The will is one of the higher faculties. That's what Einstein was talking about. The will gives you the ability to focus on one thing to the exclusion of everything else. When you focus on that one thing, you're on that higher frequency. How do you do that? Well, first, you got to make a decision to go there. You see, your mind and thoughts must be focused on the same frequency as your goal. How do we do that? We make a committed decision. That's where I'm going. And when you make the committed decision, that's irrevocable. You cannot go back. You shut the past off. You begin thinking on this higher frequency, and you think and act like the person you want to become. Does it sound preposterous? That's what the Wright brothers did, and they introduced us to a new kingdom. That's what Sir Edmund Hillary did. I had the good fortune of working with him. He was a beekeeper from Auckland, New Zealand. He was the first person to ever climb Mount Everest. He didn't know how to get to the top of that mountain until after he got there. He trusted in the image that he held in his mind. You got to trust in the image you hold in your mind. You got to think like the person you want to become. It takes a decision to get up on that higher frequency. And the second you make the decision, everything starts to happen. Now, you got to believe you can do it. The moment your belief matches with any state, the higher frequency is the state. The moment your belief matches with any frequency, you fuse with it, and this union results in the activation, the projection of the plots and plans and conditions and circumstances. Things start to happen. Think about it. You're going to a dance, you need the new dress. You make a decision, you don't know where the money's coming from, but you've got to have the dress. You get the dress. You want that car, you make it as, you get the money, you get the car. The moment your belief matches with any state, you fuse with it. And this union results in everything that happens. Now look at, This new state of conscious awareness becomes your home from which you view the world. You're operating on a different frequency. Don't expect a lot of support from the people around you. They don't know what you're doing. They probably think you've gone a little crazy. But listen, in your workshop, and if you're observant, you're going to see your outer reality shaping itself upon the model of your imagination. Do you want to know the beautiful truth? This works like unadulterated magic. It does. This is what all our Proctor Gallagher Institute programs deal with. I want you to control the flow. There's thought energy flowing to and through you. It's flowing freely to and through you. Make certain it proves everything that it connects with. You've got all of this power locked up within you. Utilize it. Go after what you want. Quit going after things you already know how to get. There's no real gain in that. Don't compromise. Go after what you want. It's not that easy, but I'm going to tell you something. It sure is worthwhile. Turn decision-making into a habit. And when you do that, everything changes. See, I didn't go back to school. No formal education. I didn't gain any business experience. I made a decision and bang, away I went. And everything started to fall into place. I opened offices in different countries, in different cities. There are all kinds of money. I had money coming to me while I was sleeping, and so can you. In fact, you turn this into a decision, you can earn more money when you're sleeping than you'll spend when you're awake. Decision. It'll change your world.
What did you think of that? Just trying to get my thing back up. There we go. Close that one. I love that video because it's just so hopeful. So it's basically decide what you want. You've got no idea how you're going to get it, but believe that you will, and you will. Okay? I always had this huge dream of going around the world, like literally all the way around. And all of the trips that I saw, they take you halfway around to go somewhere, and then they bring you back the same way. That's not all the way around the world. I wanted to cross the date line. And for our honeymoon in 2013, no, we went in 14, married in 13 and went in 14. I had no idea how we were going to pay for that. It was nearly £12,000. That was more than what I was earning in a year. But we did the trip. It was all paid. Money came in from some really unexpected places that we weren't expecting, that we didn't ask for. But it came, and we went around the world, and we crossed the date line, and we lived the 22nd of December 2014 twice, which was good because the first time around didn't go so well due to lost passports and whatever else. But we got to live it again. And it's perfect. It's brilliant. So this stuff really does work. You just have to believe, you have to trust yourself. And how it links to habits is that for you to make the permanent change to that habit that you want to change, you have to make the decision that you're going to make that change. And once you've made that decision, there ain't nothing going to stop you. But you have to make the decision. You have to start taking the first steps. Okay? So, are there any questions? So we have a couple of people or a few people here with us on Zoom and a couple of people on the Facebook. So I will give it a couple of minutes for people to type stuff through because I know Facebook is a bit delayed. And also it can take time to type any questions, which is absolutely fine. But I think the biggest ones that come up for me when I think about this kind of stuff is, can you stop the bad habit? No, you got to replace it. Just reiterate that. What else? Suggestions are usually the ones that come up for me. So asking, I do this habit, I want to be this, what should my new habit be? Obviously we've covered a few examples along exercise and diet and fitness and that sort of thing, and also like being more productive. So for me, it was always getting up that little bit earlier, being more productive that way. Okay, so just see what that was. Okay, no, don't need that one. Yeah, so again, it's making it easy, convenient, and rewarding. So you decide on, you notice your habits that you've got, you decide on the person that you want to be, or the thing you want to have, or the thing you want to do, and then you switch habits to be in line with that. So if you want to be the person who fits into those jeans you used to fit in 10 years ago, then you have to change your habits around eating and exercise. If you want to be the person that has a laptop lifestyle, who travels and works from wherever they are in the world, then you need to shift your habits to do that. You need to be more open to new ideas, for example, or you need to quit your current job. Or the habit could be that you need to save money for a trip, okay, instead of spending it. And with every single habit that you do, make it easy, make it convenient, make it rewarding, make it obvious. Okay, so there are no questions coming through, but if you do have any that you don't want to put into live, or if you are watching us on the recording, then please feel free to drop me a message or comment below the video, anything like that, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Now, last little bit I want to discuss with you. You may or may not know I am a Proctor Gallagher consultant. So I am licensed to distribute and facilitate the Proctor Gallagher courses. All the courses are on my website. Again, that's rethinkyourperspective.com. But there is a special offer going on this month until the 31st of March, where if you enroll into the Thinking into Results program, which is a 6-month fully coached self-study course. So it's a bit of self-study, it's a bit of direct coaching from yours truly. You also get a freebie. So for those of you who don't know what Thinking into Results is, it's basically a program that helps you with these 3 things mainly. So it helps you to gain or to realize your limiting beliefs. It helps you to recognize that you are floating through life rather than being laser focused and having something to focus on, a goal. And it also allows you to become aware of the action that you're not taking. So these 3 things, they basically mean that we have no control. We are not in control of where we're going. We're not in control of our thoughts. We are susceptible to changing and going with the flow of what other people want us to do. Okay, so Thinking into Results helps you to manifest your desired outcomes. It teaches you how to visualize. Remember, Sandy mentioned visualization and affirmations as well, and other mental techniques that will help you to subtly shift enough in your mindset, in your habits, and to find your motivation to get out of your own way, to get the control back in your life that decides where you're going. Okay, so with Thinking into Results, like I said, it is a 6-month coaching course. It is a 60-minute coaching session 1 week and a 60-minute Q&A session the second week. There are 12 video lessons, and the idea is you do 1 lesson for 2 weeks. So you watch the video every day, twice a day if possible. They're between 15 and 25 minutes long, recorded by Bob and Sandy. And then each week you get a coaching session, so a facilitation. And I will be doing an example facilitation in my next workshop at the beginning of April. I think it's around about the 11th-ish, if memory serves, but around then, it might be the 8th or something. It's that weekend. And then the second week you get a Q&A where everybody studying within my client group will come onto the call and we bat ideas around, and it's a little community. So it helps with accountability. It allows you to spread your learning as well and helping other people. As I said, you get the 12 lessons. You also get a 195-page workbook, and it's the workbook and the accountability that really sets these courses from the Proctor Gallagher aside from most others. Because you can sit on a webinar, you can sit on a workshop, you can sit and watch or listen to personal development stuff, you can read the books, but if you don't apply it, you're just widening your knowing doing gap, which is one of the topics in Thinking into Results. So it's the difference between what you know, all of this knowledge up here, and what you do, your habits, your subconscious controlled behaviors. Okay, it's all based on over 100 years of research. There are goal setting exercises, tricks to changing your mindset and your habits, and so much more. It's an absolutely brilliant program. This is my workbook, which I can send you printed copies of these as well. As you can see, it's very well used. There's lots of writing, lots of space to write, lots of articles, and it's brilliant. I am biased, obviously, but even if I wasn't, when I first saw Thinking into Results, absolutely loved it. Okay, so this month for this month up until the 31st, when you purchase Thinking into Results, and there are different options available, but I do have individual conversations with those, so I will not be releasing the price on this webinar, so please don't ask. You will also get the standalone program, Magic in Your Mind. And Magic in Your Mind gives you all of this. So it's a 6-week program. It's a self-study. Obviously, you will have my contact details. So if you do have any questions, you just feel free to come on and ask, reach out whenever you need to. You have daily videos, which will be sent through, daily exercises, and it basically shows you ways of developing your higher faculties. So your imagination, your intuition, your willpower, your memory, your perception, and your reason. And they're the things that are held up in your conscious mind that you can use to think about the world that you live in. They're the 6 things that set us aside from every other creature on this planet that has a brain. Okay, so it's taught by 3 of the world's greatest minds. So Bob Proctor himself, obviously recorded before he passed, Sandy Gallagher, and Mary Morrissey. It is worth $497 on its own. Obviously, this is available to purchase as a standalone course from my website. Yeah, but this month only, for the rest of this month until the 31st, you do get this program free when you sign up for Thinking into Results. So that's our call today. I have just, what do you mean by 4 out of 8 on the chat? Just a little bit more information on that, if you will. So yeah, that is our workshop this evening. I finished a little bit earlier because we didn't have too many questions, which is absolutely fine. So we've gone through why we're here, to learn about how to shift our habits. We've learned about what habits are, the subconscious behavioral patterns that are done. Oh, the workshop date, sorry. Perfect, thank you. Yeah, the 8th of April. That's why I didn't quite get it, because it's written 4/8, which to me, if it was a date, would be the 4th of August. We do it differently. We put the day first and then the month. So yeah, thank you for that, Brandy. We also looked at how our habits are installed when we're little and as we grow, becoming aware of our habits and playing with them, which is always great fun. And then we did a whole nice little section based on the work of James Clear from Atomic Habits for how to upgrade our habits. And then the little video at the end on decision, which will help you to decide what it is that you want and then to start taking action. Okay, we then covered the special offer. So that is it for tonight's workshop. That's it, begins with a W. On the screen at the moment is all of my contact details. You have my website, so Rethink Your Perspective, my Instagram, Rethink Your Perspective, Facebook, my email address, my LinkedIn, and my YouTube channel. Some of them have underscores, some of them don't. Unfortunately, I couldn't be a bit more consistent across all of my platforms. And at the bottom, this Calendly link is available. So all of these I will stick into the comment description on YouTube when it goes over there, and also on the comments in the Facebook group when I post it over there as well. But this Calendly link, you are entitled to a one-on-one 30-minute call with me that allows us to work out where you are now, where it is that you want to be, and to start brainstorming, mind mapping some ideas of how to get you there. There is no sales on that call. It is simply a discovery call to find out where you are, where you want to go, and then to expand your vision, because you will be holding yourself back. Okay, so if you would like to partake in a one-to-one call with me, feel free to visit that link. If none of the times on there work, then please reach out to me and I'm sure we can work out another time that is more suitable. So if we have no further questions, I will quickly check. Not in there, not in there. Then I will leave you to your wonderful evening. I will thank you again for joining me on this workshop. Feel free to share around. Obviously, anybody who registered for the Zoom call, whether you attended live or watched the replay, you will receive the recording. I will snip the first little bit. So it starts from when we actually got started. And yeah, feel free to share, feel free to comment. I would love some feedback if anyone would be so kind. And I hope to see you at my next webinar or workshop and challenge at the beginning of April. Stay tuned for some exciting updates as well. And yeah, have a lovely rest of your